Reference your charts. Reference your charts. When you hear the go alert and you've got a suggested range, that's the time to really look at your charts and begin to contemplating uh, putting through, pulling the trigger and putting through a bet within probably, if you were on Marcus World, within the next 2 minutes, because these will always come around, 1 to 2 minutes prior to the lockout. If you're familiar with how these how the Marcus World platform works. Now, let's look at a couple of these. As you can see, we got a couple, and I posted the images here in the room. Now I'm going to look at a couple of these, and we're going to talk about executing. If you had the strategy, this is what it looks like on a chart. This little arrow here, that's me putting in my arrow. That's where the alert came. And that same minute candle, you could have gotten in. This is where the alert exited. Now, this looks so close to this. In general, I will say if it's close enough, a broker will try and take it. So that could have been a tie at best to a loss. This is an arrow just letting me know that I'm halfway through the statistical expected range of this hour. That's not another signal. Let's go and look for another signal. Okay, the same pair, Euro USD. There's our bet back there. Here we caught another signal. See, this is the arrow that I'm actually putting in, and I was marking these. Now, within that same minute, there's that low, and you could catch that signal, and the market just not a lot of pain. The This candle looks big, guys, but it's probably really more like 2 or 3 pips. But nonetheless, it's a nice win, and that's always a good thing. So you're waiting and watching these, picking your entry, especially being mindful of the suggested range, is going to help. Okay, this is a different chart. I use this chart with our batter ladder. That's not available on our site yet. We're still probably overworking it. I probably could have put it out. We could have put it out a couple of weeks ago, but I really like to test things and try to figure out what can make the system more digestible. There's our arrow. Nice move in our favor, and there's the X where we started at, and that's for these 5-minute bets, that's a pretty significant win there. Okay, here's the arrow. I changed the color just so you can see where the candle is, and let me point something out here. This is where the alert happened. If you hear the alert and you even hear a go, and you see the markets moving down and you're trying to get in on a put, that is not the time to take a trade. When I'm doing these manually and I hear an alert, and that alert is giving me a put, I have to wait for a pullback. Now this next minute, if I were trading this, say somewhere at Marcus World, I still, somewhere like Marcus World or something, I got a nice little blue candle here, and I got my pullback. I only want to get in at the strike or better. That's what I'm getting at. Now this is the exit, and honestly, even if you got in here, you still probably could have eked out a win here, but the difference in making alerts work for you and having more trouble with the alerts all centers around patience and your ability to execute them. So there's always going to be another alert. Don't worry about that. You've just got to practice and get better at executing and getting your trades and your timing. You want the market to come to you. You don't want to be chasing and running after the market. That's what I'm getting at there. Now, here's another uh, alert. This is where, again, my manually placed arrow, that's where that alert was actually sent to the chat. And again, this is just, you couldn't ask for anything better. All of these trades are not going to go like this. I'm going to be just perfectly honest, but that was a nice move right there. You could have got in on that same candle. And because this is a call, the lower is you get into that strike, or even lower, that's better. So it's kind of the opposite of what I was preaching about on the other signal. Lower is better. If you waited and you couldn't catch that down here, and when you start seeing this market go up in that next minute and you've only got that next minute, just let it go. There's always going to be a market to trade. You want to just focus on trading and executing as best you can, because that's all you can control. If the bet's over and you say to yourself, man, I would have won anyway, who cares? This is my sentiment about that. I'm cool with letting some of these go. I'm not here to try, and I can't catch every signal, and this is just two pairs. These are probably my favorite pairs to trade. I like to trade dollar yen, and I like to trade euro USD. They're pretty liquid. Sometimes I'll trade the wild Elmo, but that is not streamed in our room. You'd have to purchase the strategy in order to trade Elmo. I think the Elmo's kind of you know, like I said in that other video when we were trading the GBP JPY, what we call the wild Elmo. It's a little tough to trade, especially for these 5 minutes pops. So that's, we're not gonna stream that right now. Uh, and that's five. That's five to look at. Um, there is a break even and a loss, or a possible loss in that five. You are never going to win every trade. I don't win every trade. In the last year, if you look at our Twitter feed, I think somewhere there's like the longest streak I've done in the last year is like 14. That is not normal. It's not unusual for me to see 3 or 4. Very common 7. A little less common 10. You know, it's pretty rare, but it's something that shows up. 14, not a lot. I'm not going to win every trade. And when you hear people talking about consistent 90% accuracy, some of what will help make trading binary options better is to come into the chat room and talk with other honest, like-minded individuals, and be honest about realistic, manageable expectations. Somewhere around 65 to 70% is probably a lot more realistic. When I'm not messing up, and I just told you guys a lot of what I consider messing up, but I'm not perfect. You know, sometimes I'll pull the trigger a little late. Not too late, but on occasion I can get out of hand even. Um, I can fix a lot of that with my money management, but that's not what this video is about. It's just about showing you guys the chat room that's going to be available on our site, binaryoptionstutor.com, and explaining how to listen to these alerts, how to read them, and execute around them. I'll be in the chat sometimes. Some guys that regularly trade our strategy will be in the chat sometimes. I believe you can access this chat even with a phone. I'm a big fan of looking at the charts, although these alerts are going to have some very pertinent data that I think can help you with a suggested range, with the expiry, and looking at the spread. The spread data isn't on the ones that you're seeing now, but in general, like I've said in all of the green arrow videos, I like to sell volatility. So the wider that spread is, the better. And you're going to see on these alerts at the very end of them, there's going to be a spread quoted in parentheses, and that spread is going to be quoted in pips. First, you're going to see the current spread slash the average spread. So in a perfect world, the current spread will be maybe 1.5, maybe even 2, maybe more than twice the average spread. The stronger, the better, because ultimately these are contrarian bets and we're trying to sell volatility. Remember that you have most of the time 1 to 2 minutes to execute these. So wait and let the market come to you. That's all I have, guys. Love to see you guys in the chat. Hope that we can build this into a useful community. Hope that there's some interest in this and less interest in some of the weird stuff I see going around binary options now. And let's all get together and help each other. Again, this is something new, and it is something completely free, available on our site to registered members. I hope you guys will support it by participating in the chat. Also, purchasing the Green Arrow strategy or some of the other little tools that we offer on our site are not really very expensive, but they do show us that there is still interest in actually learning to trade, and interest in seriously learning about how to invest and speculate with some of your money on your own. That's all I have, guys. See you guys on the next video. I hope someone finds this helpful and useful. And once again, if we've helped you, please help us like, share, comment, subscribe. This is Alfred for BinaryOptionsTutor.com.